This is a project I've wanted to do for a while, a couple of months or so, more than that, 6 months, say that. And what I want to do is go back in time and take a look at the old wrestling matches that I used to do. For those that don't know, I used to be a pro wrestler. I used to wrestle for a company in Birmingham called K-Star Wrestling, and I used to. It was training every Sunday, and then once a month or so, we used to do shows. We used to host shows within the Birmingham area. We used to do shows in King's Standing, Northfield, and Lichfield, as far as I remember. And so I wanted to do like a bit of a backstory of my matches and just have a bit of personal commentary over it, if anything. The first year or so, I don't think I have any of my matches, unfortunately. My very first one, I've put these, as far as I'm aware, in chronological order. Basically, when I first started wrestling, I was a heel. In wrestling terms, that's a bad guy. I used to be called Dick Daniels. That name was actually given to me. I wasn't a fan of it, if I was being completely honest. I remember when I was first told, we're going to put you as Dick Daniels, I was trying to make up reasons of why not to call me Dick Daniels, for obvious reasons. I wanted to take myself not in the slightest bit like serious or anything. I knew it was all complete fun, but I made some stupid excuses of like, yeah, but my name's not Richard, and the guy who gave me the name was a guy called Stax, and he was like, well, my name's not Stax either, so it's only a stage name. I was like, I understand, but I think this is a shit name personally. So I went under Dick Daniels to start off with. I had my very first match with a guy called Nick Mace. His stage name was Nicky Mace. I'm not sure where he got that from. But I remember when I was first told that they want to put me as a heel because I have a natural bad luck about me. Wasn't too sure to be offended or not by that. But I took it for what it was, and I was 16. I was 16 and I was dead nervous. And I wanted to be a face. Although to be a heel is a lot easier than what it is to be a face. Because the crowd's natural reaction to people is they're going to dislike them, basically. So when they told me that you're going to be a heel and your job is to basically get people to hate you, I was so nervous, couldn't believe it. So I remember my very first night, it was with Nick Mace, and I was shaking backstage. I remember the previous match was just about to finish, and my gimmick was basically a cocky brash young heel, standard in the wrestling business. Someone that basically somebody that basically likes to comb their hair and make sure that they look good and all that sort of generic stuff. I hated it, I won't lie. I completely hated doing that character. I remember just before I was meant to be going out, like some stupid minor stories of, I really wet my hair. I had long hair back then, and I wet it up a lot backstage, and a lot of the water from the water bottle of what was spraying in my hair basically went all over the floor. And I remember Stax walking up to me going, you better tidy that up right now. And I was, mate, I'm just about to go. Can I sort this out when I get back? I'm more than happy to clean it up. I'm just really nervous right now. So all that happened, and so I basically went out, and I was meant to be a cocky, brash, like, oh, I'm so good looking sort of heel. I basically lost it. I remember just walking out the curtain and just shouting, "Roar!" like in a proper generic wrestling fashion. As far as I remember, the crowd actually disliked me. I think it was more to do with Nick Mace, about him being a lot more experienced than what I was, and he got the crowd on his side, which then meant that they hated me. All in all, I remember it was for a very first wrestling match. I mean, I was only training for like 3 months. I remember starting wrestling training in 2006. We basically trained on Sundays and Monday, and the following Monday was I think it was either my first week or my second week at sixth form. And I remember waking up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't move my muscles. Basically what happens on the very first wrestling session is you learn how to take bumps and you learn how to fall properly. I remember doing that, waking up the following morning, and my muscles all over my body were just completely and utterly dead. I loved it so much. It was so good. I was just waiting for the next week to happen. I don't think I have any of my very first year, like my first match 2006 December. I don't think I have any matches in 2007. It's probably somewhere in maybe the K-Star archives or something. I'm not too sure. The earliest match that I know that I've got is this one with Mark Clark. And Mark Clark was a complete pro. As far as I remember, he's quite new to the business too. At this point, he was only there. At this point, he was only wrestling for a couple of months himself. I might be completely wrong. Don't quote me on anything. But he guided me through this match so much. I remember when we was talking backstage, and let me just hold that there. I remember that we was talking backstage of this match. I don't know what it was when I first started wrestling. My memory was, it was absolutely dreadful. And I remember talking backstage to Mark, and he was saying, right, to start off the match, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. And I remember circling the ring, and I was like, right, I know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, this is really simple. It's very straightforward. And I circled the ring, and I got into the ring. The second I stepped into the ring, the whole match just left my head, and I couldn't remember a thing of what was meant to be doing. I remember giving him a clothesline. And at some point, I think this was completely made up because I completely forgot what I was going to do. And at some point nowish, I said to him, I've forgotten everything. And he just went, don't worry, just go with the flow. Bit of trivia for you there. The referee is a guy called Chris Brooks. And fair play to the guy. Like, he's making waves right now. He's making a proper name for himself. He's wrestled for CZW. I'm pretty sure he was a tag team champion not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago. Can't remember. I'm not up on the indie scene right now, so I'm not too sure. But I remember at this point I was probably wrestling for about a year or so, and Chris Brooks, the referee, he was brand new, and I remember working with him and helping him basically learn how to wrestle, and now he's completely surpassed anything that I've ever done. And I can see him being signed very soon to one of the major / big wrestling promotions in the world. Some classic generic, simple holds, nice switches. Pull the hair. Come on, ref, what you doing? Did you not see that, ref? You're blind. Your hair in your eyes. Come on, Chris, wake up. Watch the hair. He's grabbing my hair, ref. Bit of a fun fact: the guy on the outside, who's the cameraman. That's my old tag team partner's brother. His name was James, or is James. The old Sleep and Leap. Sleep. That's where that was it. That was what I completely forgot. And fair play to Mark. I don't know why, but he just threw himself outside of the ring, and I basically had to make it out like it was his problem. Like, oh, he's a stupid heel. He doesn't know what he's doing. It was my fault. I forgot what we were doing. He tripped me. The classic run around the ring. It's basically the simple story. That little move was something that I carried on throughout my career. I think it was the Hunter brothers that first taught me that. And the Hunter brothers and Mark Clark used to train together. And it was the classic run around the ring. The heel goes into the ring. He goes for an elbow drop from when the face tries to come in. So he's basically tries to cut the face off and give him an elbow drop. The Hunter brothers taught me that, and in my not my most recent match, but the one that I have was against myself and Joey Scott for Full Force Wrestling. We did exactly that spot. So thank you, Hunters. Oh, classic right to the eye. And a nice simple clothesline finished that off. Myself and Mark had many matches together. I think my favourite one was at Walsall Town Brawl, which I'm pretty sure will come. I'm sure I've got that match. I'm pretty sure I have. But my favourite one was at Walsall Town Brawl because we did a fair few comedy spots. I think I remember grabbing him a bit too close at that point. Yes, lovely. A bit of Devon Dudley. Was it Bubba Ray? I think it was Bubba Ray. Oh, a shot to the side. Dirty. Perfectly legal manoeuvre. but just dirty. I'm going to knock his block off with a lariat. I do like Mark. He played his character so well. His character was basically from the Mr. Men series. It was a character called Mr. Strong. And obviously, that was a decent double clothesline, to be fair. And because obviously his size is very thin, he used to believe like he was Mr. Strong. And we basically played on that character a lot in the Walsall Town Brawl show. He used to do a lot of like spots with me of where he would try to pick me up for a body slam, and he would purposely fail. Nice kip up. Thank you, Shawn Michaels. Yeah, if you couldn't tell at this point, my look and my wrestling style was like Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels, my two favourite wrestlers of all time. Jeff Hardy, there you are. The old double leg drop to stomach area thing, whatever it's called. Oh, cheap shot. I've only ever done this once in my career, and I love the spot so much. The crowd were like proper shouting for it. Do it! Do it! But the thing is, it's a completely illegal thing to do. As a face, you shouldn't really do that, unless there's a prime reason of why you would. For example, the heel, who is constantly giving you shots to the groin. A face shouldn't really do that, but I was a rule breaker. Feet on the ropes. Oh, I remember that. I remember that very well. Chris pulled his legs off the ropes, which then meant that Mark went basically onto me. You can obviously see the state of where I was. That choked me. That the weight of Mark going onto my throat and my body going up onto me, I couldn't breathe for a good 10 seconds or so after this. That was rough. I was like, mate, chill. That hurt so much. Bit of Chris Benoit tribute. Alabama Slam. Hardcore Holly. Going for the pile driver. Reverse back into the Alabama. Hit it. And I always kept that as my finishing manoeuvre, and I've always done it since. Shawn Michaels style pin. Thank you very much. Did you see the little tap on his chest? That was always the thing that I was taught of. Anytime. So basically every match of what you have, and if that person puts you over, subtly thank them in the ring the second that they put you over. It's just a sign of respect. The daring one. The times before I was the daring enigma. God, this was years ago. The shitty sound system of K-Star. That was the walking up the turnbuckles. I used to purposely do the bottom rope, middle rope, because that's exactly what Shawn Michaels used to do, and I idolised him. Christmas themed show. This would have been December 2008, and one of my low-key favourite guys to work with was actually Diamond. Whoa, we've got a bit of commentary on this as well. Jeez, that is right in my ear. Basically, the commentary team on this was Carl and Jimmy Villain. Jimmy Villain's the guy that I always loved. He was just brilliant. He was such a nice guy behind the scenes, and even in the ring. I say even in the ring. He was just a fantastic entertainer as well. Oh, cameraman on this. Okay, so let's point these out. So, my first wrestling show back that I did in 2015 or 16, I think it was a guy called Rob. Rob Higginson is his real name. His stage name at that point was Joey Scott. Don't know why that escaped my mind, but there he is sitting in the crowd, and his brother is the cameraman, and his dad's behind, and his mum Diane, who also features in that match, in my first match that I had against him back in his own promotion called Full Force Wrestling, is there. When he just about turns the corner, there's a decent shot of someone very, very, very special to me. Unfortunately, we lost my final grandparent this year back in July. Was it August? And she always used to come to my wrestling shows. It's this woman here in the red top, And in my entrance here, I actually give her a kiss. There's my nan, Nanny Pat, who passed away a couple of months ago as of recording. And my other family, I think that was my cousin. No, my cousin Rachel sat there. That was Michelle. My Uncle Dave and Stephen, my cousin. I think, was that Lauren? I'm pretty sure that was Lauren. There's my cousin, Rachel, who also, I don't think I informed her, but I basically involved her in this match that we'll see. 15 stone. Actually, no, I was about 12 or maybe pushing 13 at this point. I was actually relatively quite fit. Yes. I think, as far as I remember, this was probably the first DVD that I edited from start to finish. But in another pointless bit of facts, the Santa hats that I've got around my waist, I used to work at a famous supermarket, which is 4 letters. It starts with an A, ends with an A, have a guess. And I remember coming out of work one day, and they had a shitload of Santa hats. They were just lying on the side, and then they basically had a sign saying "Take 1." So I took 8. I think it was 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, probably 10. And I thought I could give these out on my show on Saturday. So that's what I did. And because I'm such a face, I gave away a load of Santa hats. Look at me, I'm so happy. There's Rob. Gave one to Rob. He was so quiet back then. He was such a quiet guy. I remember I ignored a bunch of these kids here, and I accidentally gave, I think it was like 3 Santa hats to the same amount of people, and I think I got booed for it. I accidentally threw it into the same people, and then I threw one more, and the people on the far left hand side, oh, you see him, he just like threw his hand. He booed me. There's my nan. Gave her a hat and a kiss, and I gave one to my little cousin Rachel. I was such a face. At this point, so I was wrestling probably for another 6 months, over the point of when I was wrestling Mark Clark on the last match, and my confidence grew heavily. As you can probably tell, I had a lot more confidence in this match. Another point of pointless trivia, the ref was a guy called Ben, and he asked me to give him a hat. Literally just then, when I put my hand up, and I went, yeah, sure, don't worry. But I've got this little spot with Damien. His real name's Luke, and I was meant to give the hat that's on the floor to Ben, but within the space of like 10 seconds, I completely forgot, and he said, "Oh, you're meant to give me that," or it's probably this hat, sorry. And I slipped on the rope. And he went, "You're meant to give me that hat." And I went, "Oh, sorry, mate." I gave him a hug. That was just, I completely forgot, sorry. The most awkward headlock that you could have possibly given. I mean, it was mainly on my point. I don't know why I just dropped down to one knee. And that looks absolutely dreadful. Off ropes, give me a shoulder. Nice. International? Yeah, go for it. Sleep. Leap. Oh, no, okay. Calf kick or wheel kick or something. Hip toss just to finish it off. And a bit of a drop kick as well. Why not? Goat out. Get out of there. Give him a wrist lock. I remember shouting to Rachel, "Get up. Stand up. Stand up. Hold that. I just wanted a little comedy spot. Achoo. Just wipe it on him. Carry on with the match. Here we go. Missed. There you go. That was number 2. That I probably used it before that, but I used the whole fake coming into the ring and heel giving an elbow drop. Thank you, Hunters. Clothesline from hell. Missed it. I wanted to use the clothesline from hell so much. I just fucking loved it. Who doesn't love a nice stiff lariat? And I just never used. I think I just tried to use it in this match, and I just didn't use it again. Go for the old body slam. That was awkward. My arm was completely out of the way. Those chops looking absolutely shockingly shit. Jeff Hardy. Yes! Jawbreaker inspired by Jeff Hardy. Angle slam from Kurt Angle. Oh, such a mark for these guys. This is always a classic moment of being able to just like look over to your opponent and just have a quick chat with them. I tried to keep these matches as in chronological order as I possibly could, but I was actually tag team champion at this point, so there was a fair few matches beforehand where myself and Kid Flash, Diamond Cutter, nice, proper whip my neck back. I remember coming to the back and Stax was saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that. He's walking around the ring. And realistically, he should have pinned him." Yes, he should have, but he's a heel. He's a stupid heel. He doesn't know what he's doing. And so then a stupidly weak cover. The whole point. I remember getting shouted at for not selling the Diamond Cutter of what he gave to me, and I was just like, no. The whole point was for him to do that. And then to walk around the ring and to then basically start shouting at the audience, which then gives me time to recover, which then gives an even bigger pop for when I reverse it into an ankle lock. Thank you, Ken Shamrock. And I basically win from that. And I remember telling him backstage, like, I'll put you in the ankle lock and I'll keep aware of the audience. And when I give you a bit of a tap on the back of the shoe, that's when you basically tap out. Angle style, wrapping my legs around. And my nan in the background there, so happy with me. And I was like, yeah, I kind of need to sell everything. Too late. These graphics, I made these graphics. I'm pretty sure this was my first. I'm pretty sure that this was my first DVD that I made for the company. And I made all the graphics. I did everything from start to finish. Didn't even get a thanks for it, as far as I remember.